Hey guys, welcome back. And I've got a question for you. What does Glam, Hollywood Regency, Deco, and Gustavian Scandinavian have in common? I'll tell you in 8 seconds. So what do those all have in common? They're all part of the transitional style, which is a huge category. We're starting right away today with Deco. So Deco really kind of came out of France right after World War I, a little bit in reaction to Art Nouveau. Think flappers, think speakeasy, Coco Chanel, all that kind of stuff. But when we think of it, we think of the 20s. So design-wise, it's curvilinear, it's got a little bit of bold geometry. You know, there's lots of silver and gold leaf being used. You know, it's even got ancient Egypt, which is really fun. And that's all kind of fun, and it feels sort of exotic and a little bit unusual. So if that's the kind of thing that really floats your boat and kind of grabs you, here's a couple of things that you really want to make sure you do for your space. You're going to look at case pieces and upholstered pieces that have a little bit of a streamline effect. You can see the curvilinear quality to this sofa, which is really great. Because this era is relatively recent, you can maybe even get some case pieces. This is actually one that came up on Chairish a while ago, so you can still buy pieces that are originally from the 20s. They have some really great bars, which were a big thing then, obviously. So you can get that, or you can get a reproduction if you like something like that, but you're looking for black lacquer, you're looking for kind of fancier woods done with that streamlined finish. And then color-wise, you're gonna look at a color palette that sort of incorporates kind of some strong neutrals, definitely black. Mustards were big, deep blues and greens. I love this sofa that's got the green element to it, which is just beautiful. This is another pretty room that has that gorgeous gold coffee table and then the curving sofa and things. So this feels very sort of, I'm speaking to Deco, but I'm living in the 2020s. That would totally float my boat if that was my thing. So this is the kind of way you can get that. Okay, so the next style is Hollywood Regency, and this one actually comes out of the golden era of Hollywood, which was really the 30s. So close on the heels of Deco, there are some similarities of style, but Hollywood had a job, which was to become the place for people to escape who were living through the Depression, which is horrific. So you look at these images of what comes out of Hollywood in the 30s, and the details are just bananas. I mean, they were really trying to be over the top, super luxurious, super sumptuous. Everything is gold and fringe this long and fur everywhere. I mean, this chair is like completely fur, and there's lots of mirror everywhere. In fact, if anybody knows who this gal is in the picture, major star, I'm sure. I have no idea who she is. Oh, yes, put it in the description down below. Or look at this picture of Fay Wray. I adore this. Yeah, there's some fringe on that dress, but look at the fringe on the drapery. It's crazy. Fringe was everywhere. And mirror was everywhere because mirror looked expensive and was glamorous. And here they even chiseled it so that it's in this sort of, not deco, but kind of a tropical palm pattern, which is exquisite. And no, you can't leave the fireplace alone because that's too plain. This is a sumptuous, lavish style. So they added andirons that are like little griffins, all painted in white. So now if you're gonna do a 2020 version of Hollywood Regency, this picture is a beautiful picture to work off of. You wanna think about things like a patterned floor or carpet of some kind. Think about kind of tonal palettes, like either black and white with a little bit of color, or perhaps kind of a set of neutrals. This one is very beautiful with that absolutely gorgeous emerald green sofa, which is amazing. I think that's great. You can include, rich tones and blends like that. Definitely you want to include architectural elements if you can. Some applied molding, maybe some crown molding, definitely window treatments. Those are very serious. If you want to get a little maximalist, you can throw in some fringe, which could be fun. I also like this variation where it's gone to just the black and white and gold effect, which is really quite lovely. Here's a softer version of it if you're wanting to kind of lighten the idea up. Notice that they've applied wall covering to the ceiling in a pattern, which is glorious. But again, they have that bold geometric down on the floor. So simple lines on your upholstery, keeping the palette kind of softer in terms of neutrals and or blacks and whites with a little bit of color is great. Lots of glass, lots of mirror, lots of fur, lots of feathers. Go ahead and get that feather lamp if you want. And you'll have yourself a really contemporary version of Hollywood Regency. So next one up is Glam. And I've had a lot of requests for this one. And Glam is sort of the sassier cousin to Hollywood Regency and Deco. It's a little fresher, it's a little prettier, a bit more floral aspect to it, a little bit feminine, but it can be masculine also. Definitely fancy. Think fancy. So think silk upholstery, floral wall coverings, applied moldings. I mean, take a look at this bathroom. The whole thing is mirror and crystal and marble. Kind of doesn't get more glam than that. Now, this picture here has all the elements of glam in it. Oh my God, there's even a baby grand piano in black lacquer, which is fabulous. But look at that crystal chandelier. You can't get more glamorous than that. There's probably 8,000 gorgeous silk pillows in there. There's of course a big fur throw draped across it, a lucite coffee table, think about those kinds of things. And you know, it's got a lot of high ceilings with applied molding, which, you know, we kind of have to work to add in some of our more contemporary spaces now, but it can be done, absolutely. And you want to kind of think about making sure you include crystal chandeliers, lots of glass and lucite. Think about as sparkly and as reflective as you can get it. This is a little more handsome version of a glam. It's got that cool kind of black and white combination to it, which is very glamorous, with lots of lucite and mirror, which I think is gorgeous. And then this last picture shows how you can wrap it if you want to do something a little fun with like a pop of color. I adore this blue chair and that golden sunburst mirror. That's a hallmark of all three of the last styles that we talked about, with the Deco, the Hollywood Regency, and Glam, all have that sunburst mirror somewhere in there. So to make sure to include that, and we'll talk about where you can get all this stuff at the end of the video, so stick around. Okay, and if you're liking these tips, ring the bell, smash the like, talk to me, and subscribe. Now, in this video, we talked about Scandinavian, and it was really more of an introduction to the idea of contemporary Scandinavian, which pulls most of its roots from the Danish modern movement, which kind of was the 50s and 60s, 70s, that kind of thing. So it works well with mid-century modern and those kinds of things. Today, we're talking about Gustavian Scandinavian, which is much more of a transitional iteration of the Scandi category. Wait till I show you how this showed up. Meet Gustav III, King of Sweden for the last couple of decades of the 1770s. Now, I don't know if you can tell from the portrait, but he was seriously into design and decor. Now, he was also close buddies with this guy, Louis XVI, who was living in Versailles at the time. So now there was a lot of influence there. They went back and forth to each other's palaces and that kind of thing. So today's Gustavian Scandinavian stems from the input that this gentleman had on the styles that he wanted to see in his palace. So just take a look at their two palaces and the difference. There were a lot of similarities, but Gustav's was definitely cleaner, straighter lined, more neoclassic, that beautiful soft palette of grays, as opposed to the gold and kind of over the top of Versailles. So big difference. And that's why Gustavian Scandinavian works so well for us now, because we understand those grayer, more restrained palettes and gravitate towards them. So if you're gonna do Gustavian Scandinavian, here's what you want to follow is you want to make sure that palette stays soft. You know, these beautiful grays and powdery blues and even a little bit of a soft yellow is very pretty. Most of the time, everything is kind of, think of that grayed soft light that comes in Sweden. And that's where everything gets its inspiration from. So keeping your palette that way, you'll want to have a little bit of applied molding. I mean, we would love to all have like these gorgeous high ceilings and this incredible ancient molding. But if you can apply some, that'll take you a little bit further along. These beautiful lines in the chairs are all kind of clean, so you want to kind of keep your upholstery on the clean and quiet side. Case pieces the same way. You might be even able to buy a Gustavian piece or, you know, get something and do a gray wash paint on it yourself, which is totally fine. And then kind of keep all of your materials quiet as well. Think about things like linen and the natural fibers for sure, wools, a little bit of silk, and, you know, just kind of a soft experience, both of palette and of the place. It feels very sort of comforting and cozy, which is of course what you want when you're in, you know, cold areas like, you know, Sweden is, which is where this originated. So it's this combination that will give you that lovely Scandinavian transitional style known as Gustavian. Okay, so some good vendors to check out to get these types of styles would be Chairish for sure, because they're going to have a lot of vintage items. First Dibs is good sometimes if you just kind of keep an eye on it. Pottery Barn as a regular line has a number of kind of these upholstery pieces that you want to be working with when you're working under the transitional category. Restoration Hardware, Rejuvenation, Designers Guild will definitely deliver you some gorgeous wall coverings and drapery fabrics. Perigold will definitely give you some accessories. Currey and Company for those sunburst mirrors that I mentioned. Joss and Main is a good one to look at. And even Serena and Lily, which has a beautiful line of late 19th century woven wicker pieces, which are really exquisite. And don't forget your local resources, like maybe your used bookstores, the consignment stores, art galleries for sure to get some pieces, and some higher end flea markets. So if you have one that is really known for furnishings in your area or nearby, be sure and check that one out as well. Now be sure to smash that like, bang the bell, talk to me down below, and I'll see you guys next week.